Do ear tips matter? Let's talk about it. First of all, I wanted to clarify my opinion on ear tips. They do matter. They do matter a great deal, but sometimes it comes down to very small margins. And I think that's important. Ear tips are very hard to measure. And I think the part of the problem is, does the coupler or the measuring tool represent what your actual ear is? Are measuring systems intrinsically great? I think they're okay. I don't think they always represent exactly what they want them to. So the purpose of this video is not to try to prove anyone right, prove anyone wrong. I'm going to share 3 different opinions, and at the end of this video, I'm going to share mine as kind of a summary of what my research from personal experience and other things are. This is not for the experienced, salty veterans of the hobby. This is for people who are new to the hobby. This is for people who are incoming to the hobby, not people who have lived in the hobby for 19 years and fought every single hobby war from the start of Vietnam. No. This is for new players. This is for people. But please feel free to share your comments below in this video. If you guys have any thoughts or opinions, I do read every comment and respond to most of them. So the first opinion we're going to read and talk about is Larry Fulton's opinion. Larry is associated with 7Hertz, a pretty big IEM company. They've made things like the Sonus, the Zero, the 02. They're coming out with 2 new IEMs. They've also done the Timeless. He's associated with them exactly his association. I am not 100% sure. While a 711 coupler detects marginal changes in frequency response when you use different ear tips, however, it's important to note that the coupler's resonance differs from the human ear. Therefore, the changes you see on a graph may not perfectly reflect how you perceive the sound. After testing more than 150 ear tips, he goes on. The point I think that Larry's trying to make is that there's nothing perfect about a perfect ear tip, that each ear tip is different and unique, and your experience is different from what other people have. It's not something that's always perfectly measurable. The second post that I made, and this is on a Facebook group, Chi-Fi Hopes and Dreams, which is Paul Wasabi's main Facebook group, which is one of the few ones I'm actually active on. And this is what he says. Definitely ear tips can be measured objectively to show tonal changes. So they can be measured, and he does go off and show different ear tips and how they can tame the treble or affect things differently. So I think that's an important thing, that you can measure ear tips, whereas like cables and sources are a little bit more difficult to measure with a 711 coupler, which is the most common coupler that most hobbyists have because it's only about $100. The more expensive one is about $50,000, and not very many people have that one. Now I'm going to go ahead and clip the entire 64 audio clip that I was talking about yesterday in my video that talks about comfort. This is from a Velour 64 audio question and answer, which is their most recent release. It is a flagship level price at $2,500. I think it's important. Let's watch it together.
So we'll set that aside for now. The tips, it comes with the SpinFit tips. I forget which model they are, but it's a nice option to have in the 3 sizes. Our kind of proprietary foam tips, also 3 sizes, and our wide nozzle silicone tips. They all kind of affect frequency response to a certain degree, so that's one thing you'll notice going between them. But really, I think it's more of a comfort thing. You want to be able to enjoy them and actually listen to them for long periods of time. So when it comes to tips, that's what I really recommend to folks is, yes, they might affect frequency response to a certain degree, but pick the ones that feel comfortable for you, because that's what'll actually make you want to listen to these.
Okay, so let's talk about frequency response. I did post one of my measurements of this. This is one of my favorite IEMs, the Elysian Annihilator 2023 edition. I wanted to show you what the frequency response of this graph looks like without ear tips. It looks very poor. I want to show you another one. This right here is the Delta Airlines Studio Billboards earbud. You can tell that, the blue line is, like my favorite one. Without ear tips, all of a sudden this gets to be a really terrible graph and it does not sound good in ear. It really resembles something like a very poor earphone. So in some ways you could say that ear tips are the single most important thing of the hobby, that fit and comfort are extremely important because the ear tips are extremely measurable, and so they do affect the frequency response a bit. Now, is that going to be the same frequency response that you feel in your ear? Is that going to vary based off certain tips and certain things? Yeah, it can. Is that something that's going to be really easy to measure with the 711 coupler? No, I'll be really honest that some tips are not easy to measure. So one thing not everyone knows about the 711 coupler, and again, this is for new people, is that the 711 coupler is very dependent on where the IEM is placed in ear. Like if we take the ear tip off and put it in, we get a really weird frequency response. You can tell that there's a lot of space in there where the bass and a lot of the treble can just kind of flow right out. It doesn't stay in there and actually get accurately measured. So it is very important to almost get the right tip size that'll fit your coupler to be able to measure an earphone and having that consistency with what happens. It's not an easy process to measure these ear tips or these earphones, and it is not a super exacting perfect process is what I'm trying to tell you. So to summarize, what's my point? What do I really think about tips? I think it's very easy to chase demons and to try to find the best, most perfect fit. I think you need to go with what feels good in your ear, what makes you enjoy your music. As I kind of talked about before, I haven't always been an IEM kind of guy. I've liked headphones most of my life, and I think that's something I wanted to kind of say. And I do like earphones, and I do love them a lot, but only when the certain tips are right, when the certain comfort in my ear is correct. If the comfort's not right, it doesn't work for you. You need to find something that works for you, and it'll just help you enjoy your earphones a lot. And earphones listening is a very pleasant, lovely thing if you can get everything right. What matters? Ear tips, the size of the IEM in your ear, and it becomes a very personal, very unique experience where you're literally shoving a driver or sometimes 12 drivers or 24 drivers into your ear, and there's a lot of different variable factors that can happen. That's my point. Find something that works for you. Find something that you like. Don't chase demons. Try the tips that come from the manufacturer, and if it works for you and you like it, go with it. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?